This shit is ghetto. Welcome back. This week's video, I wanted to get real. I wanted to just sit down and talk to all of my moms. Whether you're a new mom, you've been a mom for 20 years, it doesn't matter. I wanted to sit and talk about the things that aren't really said out loud about being a mom and being a mom in 2026. I understand it was different in 1982 and 1975, but being a mom, dads, that's a totally different thing. I'm not here to talk about dads. I'm here to talk about motherhood and just saying the things out loud that we don't really say. You don't see a lot on social media. Okay. It's really not the way it's supposed to be. I have so many friends that are doing this shit alone. Okay. Meaning they might be married. They might not be married. They might live with their grandparents or whatever, but it feels very lonely. And I think if you don't have a support system of at least 2 to 3 people, at least, then your mental health is probably feeling it, the effects of not having enough support. And it's technology, it's social media, it's the way that we set up even the gender roles, where if there's something going on and wrong, the school is calling the mom. It's very rare in my experience when something's wrong, your child doesn't have lunch, your child forgot permission slip, they're calling the mom. Unless they know, okay, you're a stay-at-home dad or something like that. So it's tough, because even when you take off a hat to say, listen, you take care of spring break, you plan it, you do what you gotta do, I'm just gonna pack my bags and the kids' bags. You still have to go behind your partner and be like, did you forget that? What about booking that? And then what about that? So there is this burden. One of the things that I wanted to talk about, it's this mental load. I have like a note here, the mental load and the identity shift when you become a mom. I feel like you have your own internal issues. Maybe you don't like how you look anymore. Maybe you feel like you want to change everything. You want to change your job. You want to change where you live. You want to change the car you drive, the person you're dating or married to. Like, sometimes it can feel like, what happened? How did I get here? Do you know what I mean? Whether you're in a long-term relationship or not, I think the world has made it really hard to show up and be a parent, a loving, kind, present parent. Play dates have to be scheduled, at least where I live in New Jersey. Nobody's running outside and saying, is Charlie home? Knock, knock. Is Charlie home? Want to come and play? No, everybody's going through their calendars. Maybe Friday at 4. Oh, sorry, soccer is at noon on Saturday. Like, the kids are overly scheduled and exhausted. And then you have the social media and technology that they're so dependent on, those damn Chromebooks that these schools be giving out. And I was looking into that. I was like, since when is it necessary to have a Chromebook in every grade? I think our district, mine starts at like third grade, they get a Chromebook. And it's like a pacifier. They can hop on them Chromebooks and go on different websites that are supposed to be blocked that they found a way around. And so, these kids, they don't know how to hold a conversation. They can't tell you north from south, east from west. They can't read. They can't do multiplication. It's just crazy what our elementary kids, our students here in America cannot do versus 10 years ago, 20 years ago. And curriculums change and times change, but the basics don't change. You need to know how to tell the time on a clock, on an analog clock. You do need to know how to tie your shoes. You do need to know how to multiply and read. Like, that don't change. And so you have all these things getting in the way. And then as a mom, you're doing all the work. Like me, I work part-time outside of the home and of course like content creation, but the struggle, right? To turn on the mom hat, and then you're turning on the wife hat, and you're turning on yourself, your Amber self. And so it's like you're bouncing around being all these things. And then you come home at night and you take your makeup off and you're stripped down and you're like looking in the mirror like, hey, you, I remember you. And then you stay up late and binge watch and have ice cream. At least I do. But it's about wanting that time to just be Amber, just be yourself. You don't want to be a mom or a wife or a chauffeur or a doctor or whatever. That's really hard, I think. And it should not be hard. I feel like If you don't have the money to pay for your support, I know at one point we had a house cleaner, I got my groceries delivered, and we had a babysitter. And even though it was a little pricey, it was worth it. I felt so much lighter. So I can only imagine with moms who don't have the resources and support, how do they get through life? And if you're a single parent, oh my goodness, that's a whole nother thing. So you're not alone. You know, it's something that I think we need to talk about more. And also, I think just the emotional exhaustion, right? However you grew up, maybe you grew up with two parents, single parent, that is going to dictate how you show up as a mom. I know for me, my parents had a very challenging kind of toxic relationship. So even though I had a really great mom growing up, I didn't know what that looked like to be a good mom in a healthy, normal way. I just knew what it meant to be in survival mode and be all these things to all these people and just run on E and get it done. So as I get older, I went out, became a mom. That was my go-to. I was thinking I can do these things and I can do that and I can do that. And it burnt me out. And so now I definitely prioritize myself. And thankfully my daughter's old enough to take care of herself, meaning dress herself, feed herself, and all that stuff. I'm just here to oversee her because, she's a tween, she's 11. So she emotionally and hormonally, she's all over the place. So she does still need me close for those things, but not so much for all the little things like getting herself ready for school. So it changes, as your children, as they age and need different things from you, you also have to be prepared to give them different things. So it's a learning curve. That's why it's so important to have girlfriends. A lot of my girlfriends are so busy. I don't see them very often. We do a lot of texting and stuff, but I just want to kind of throw these things out there to you, let you know you're not alone. I don't have it all figured out. But I know that pouring into myself, making sure I get my sleep, making sure I'm eating anti-inflammatory foods for the most part, making sure I'm traveling, that really sets me on fire. I love to travel. We just came back from London a couple of weeks ago and we're headed out again in a couple months. So get back to you. Do not lose your identity in being a mom and a wife and all the things, because before you are those things, you are yourself. I'm Amber, and that's who I want to love being and enjoy being regardless. So I encourage you to ask for help. I think a lot of us don't ask for help. We're kind of drowning. We're kind of trying to figure it out and beating ourselves up or making to-do lists and watching different vlogs like this. And I just want you to know you're not alone. And if you can identify with what I'm saying, go ahead and put, in the comment section what it is that you do to keep going. Maybe you have a nanny, maybe you do get all your groceries delivered, but I think having more communities where we help each other, even if it's just a simple comment, makes a difference. So that is my little video for today. And I hope you felt seen and heard, and thanks for watching. I'll see you next time. Bye.